All right, this video is about solving equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. The lesson objective is that for this lesson, by the end of the lesson, I can solve a multi-step equation with variables on both sides. Up until now, the variable has only been on one side, so now we have to learn what you do when you have an x on both sides of the equal sign. There's one piece of information that is the most important that you need to remember, okay? When you move anything across the equal sign, you're adding or subtracting it. It's kind of like combining like terms, but you're going to do the opposite to it to add it or subtract it to the opposite side of the equal sign. So in the past, you've had problems that look like this. 2a plus 6 equals negative 14. And you needed to get the constant on one side and the variable on the other side. So in the past, all we did was move the constant over by, this one says plus 6, so we subtracted 6 on both sides, okay? That way we had all the constants on one side and all the variables on the other side. Well, now you're going to have problems that look like this. 3x plus 16 equals 6x. You'll notice that you have x's on both sides. Just like moving the constants from one side of the equal sign to the other, you do the opposite operation, either adding or subtracting. So for instance, I want to get both of these x's on the same side, and I want the constant to stay on the other side by itself. So since this is positive 3x, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Anytime you move across the equal sign, see how I moved it from one side of the equal to the other? I add or subtract. That's what's different about having variables on both sides. That's the only thing that's different. Once I start to solve, now I'm going to do the exact same thing. So let's go through a few problems. Okay, first let me read the steps to you, all right? So in the past, our first step has always been to clean up one side of the equation. This time, you need to clean up both sides of the equation on each side of the equal sign. You need to make sure that on each side of the equal sign, you're starting with only one letter and one constant. So one variable and one constant. Let's look at this problem. 7x plus 13 equals 3x minus 3. I want one constant and one variable on each side of the equal sign. Well, I have one constant, one variable, one constant, and one variable, one constant. So it is completely cleaned up. Now, let me erase that. My second step says move the variables to one side of the equal sign. Well, I'm going to look at my variables. Okay, I have 3x and 7x. I want a positive variable if possible, so I know that if I take away 3x from both sides, over here I'll get a positive. So this is 3x. In order to move it across the equal sign, I'm going to do the opposite of addition or subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. One step at a time, please. That cancels this one, and now I'm going to subtract and drop everything down. 7x minus 3x is 4x plus 13 equals negative 3. That's my second step, okay? Now, it looks like a two-step equation with a variable on one side, and I'm going to solve it as I normally would by getting the constants on the other side. So plus 13 means I subtract 13. And now I have 4x equals negative 16. Well, you guys have all seen this before. Since now I have a variable on this side and a constant on this side, I am going to do the opposite operation of 4x to solve. Okay, the opposite operation of 4x is divide by 4, x equals negative 4. Seems really complicated, but you'll get the hang of it as we go ahead. All right, so let's try our steps again. The first one is to clean it up on both sides of the equal sign. Let's see if we can do that. All right, so when I look at this, I have negative 10 plus x plus 4 plus minus 5, equals 7x minus 5. Well, this side over here is just fine the way it is, but on this side, I have some constants that I need to combine. Negative 10 plus 4, negative 5. Okay, so when I combine those like terms, I have x plus negative 11 equals 7x minus 5. Now I have my optimal cleanup. So both those sides are cleaned up. So now I want to move the variable to one side. I'm going to subtract x from this side and subtract x from this side because this is a positive to begin with. So now I have negative 11 equals 6x minus 5. Now I'm going to get my constant on the other side. This is minus 5. Add 5 to both sides, and I get 6x equals negative 6. Now it's just a one-step equation. Divide by 6, and my answer is x equals negative 1. All right, I'm going to go through one more with you, and then I'm going to let you do them on your own. First step, clean it up. Well, I see distributive property here, so I'm going to distribute everything. 8b, and then 4 times negative 4 is negative 16 equals 7b plus 2. Now I want to get all the variables on one side and then all the constants on the other side. Start with variables. So this is a positive 7b. I'm going to subtract 7b. Sorry, I should have put my line in there. From both sides. Now I have b minus 16 equals 2. I'm going to subtract or change my constant to get it to the other side. So add 16 to both sides. And now I have b equals positive 18. All right. So I've done a few with you. I've shown you where we have like terms to put together. I've shown you the distributive property. Now it's your turn. I want you to try this one by yourself. Since you wrote down all the steps, go ahead and follow each step and see if you can solve this equation. All right, so let's see how you did. When I look for m minus 7, one variable, one constant, and then equals 2m plus 17, one variable, one constant, so it's already cleaned up. So now I'm going to move the variable. This is positive 2m, so I'm going to subtract 2m from both sides. Does it really matter which side you move the variable to? It does not. Does it matter which side you move the constant to? It does not. Just do what works for you. If you always like the variable on the left side, go ahead and do that. If you always like it on the right side, whatever works for you. So those cancel. Now I have 2m minus 7 equals 17. Add 7 to both sides. 2m equals 24. Divide by 2. M equals 12. Pretty simple. Remember, every time you move something across the equal sign, you add or subtract. Okay, this one's a little bit more complicated. Try it by yourself. Come back and see how you did. Okie doke, let's see. Well, I see distributive property right here, so I'm going to distribute my 6 to everything inside. That's 6a plus 12 minus 3 equals 9a minus 15. Well, I see that I still have some like terms to combine, so I'm going to put 12 and negative 3 together. So I have 6a plus 9 equals 9a minus 15. Okay, now I got to get all my variables on one side. Minus 6a for this side, minus 6a for this side. Those cancel. Now I have 9 equals 3a minus 15. Now I'm going to add 15 to both sides so that I can get all of my constants on one side. And I have 3a equals 24. And my very last step, divide by 3. And I'm going to write it over here. A equals 8. If you'll notice, I always move my variable to the side where it's going to end up being positive. That works for me. I don't care which side you move it to, but I like mine to always be positive so I don't forget to divide by a negative. All right, so the very last problem. Try this one by yourself. There's cleanup on both sides of the equal sign. So try it by yourself. Come back and see how you did. Okie doke. So let's try it. We have distributive property on one side. So that's 4a minus 8. Don't forget to distribute to everything. I have distributive property on this side. 6a, negative 30. Okay, here we go. Move the variable. This is positive 4a. Subtract 4a from both sides. So now I have negative 8 equals 2a minus 30. Uh-oh, now I need to get my constants on the same side. So I'm going to add 30 to this side. And I get 2a equals 22. Last step, divide by 2. A equals 11. All right, this was going to be a little more complicated. We'll spend more time on it because it's something you guys have never done before. It's brand new. The big important thing you need to take out of this video is that anything you move from one side of the equal sign to the other, you have to add or subtract it. Do the opposite to it, add or subtract.